Hi, I'm Peter from Coffee Parts, and today we're looking at the Baratza Sette 30. So the Sette 30, this Baratza is a baby in the Sette range, but in many ways it represents bang for buck. Now we're going to grind some coffee out of it, but let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, they are noisy. We know that, everyone's mentioned it, they are noisy. Let's get that out of the way. But what they do is grind out really well, low retention really fast for an awesome price point for the home market. So let's grind some coffee and look at that. So we got the grinder dialed in to 6.5 seconds, which should give us about 20 grams of coffee. And now we do have to hold the portafilter while we grind because this portafilter support doesn't allow for hands-free operation. So hitting the play button. And there you have it. We've ground out 20 grams and we are dosing quite high. But one thing to note is very minimal mess as the grinder doses very neatly to the center of the portafilter because it is a vertical movement from the top to the bottom in which the external blade grinds and not the center blade. And if you look at the grounds, they're very fluffy, very neatly distributed, especially for a grinder of this price point. And yes, it is a bit loud, but the results for the price point really is awesome. But now, let's dive into the grinder and find out more about it. So the Baratza Sette 30, this is the entry of the Baratza Sette range, and it represents really good value for money. But looking at the grinder in more detail, what is a Sette 30? The Sette 30 is a 40mm conical steel blade grinder with the blades being made by Espresso, which are specialists in grinder blades. They come out of the box with the S1 blade, but you can get them as an optional, the S2 cone, which just changes your grind profile. When it comes to the dialing in of the grinder, as the name suggests, with a 30, you got 30 macro adjustments of grind. So if you are going to dive into espresso heavily, you might want a little bit more adjustability, and that you can look at the 270, which has 30 plus 9 or 270. So 30 macro and 9 micro. But at this price point, what you're looking is a value for money grinder for a machine that's probably more on the entry level side of things. And when it comes to operation, you got one grind time. So you can either let it grind the time you have on the screen, which you can easily go up and down, or you can grind and stop when it's desired. And when it comes to the portafilter support, you do have to hold the portafilter while grinding, as you saw with me grinding earlier. And if you do want to change between a portafilter and say a catchment like this, you just have to pull out the prongs individually and push them back in. Now, one thing that's unique about the Baratza is that it's actually the external of the conical blade that rotates, not the internal one. And when it comes to the dosage collar, one thing that is it's really easy to pull out and give it a clean. So you just go all the way to coarser and the whole unit pulls out. And if you do want to change from an S1 to an S2 cone, super easy. Also means you can pull the hopper out without any tools, just by turning it and then lifting it. And you can clean it really easily straight through because it's actually the external of the blade and not the center blade which turns. And that's unique because most grinders, it is the center one that's connected directly to a motor that turns. The cool thing about this is you can pull it apart, you can clean it really easy, and you can change the center cone without any tools, and you can easily pull it back in. Just the blue marker matches the blue marker, push it up and give it a turn, and you're back. With the hopper, you've got an open and closed position. You can close and pull out the hopper to just say, get rid of the beans that you've got inside into a storage container for longer storage. Putting that hopper back in, just giving it a turn, and opening it up, and there we have it. So very simple to use grinder and representing great value for money. Only downside is the sound, but apart from that, you are getting very consistent, fluffy, neat grind into the portafilter for a very nice price point. So who is this grinder for? This grinder is for someone to say doing filter, call it AeroPress or filter, or entry into espresso. You got a espresso machine like a Gadget Classic or a little Breville, and you don't want to obsess with espresso, but you want to get freshly ground coffee that's neat at a nice price point. That's this grinder. If you are gonna go down and get a better coffee machine or really wanna dive into espresso, you are probably better off with the bigger version, the Sette 270. It has a little bit more adjustability and the workflow is a bit easier. You got multiple program times or weights if it's WI. Your porter's filter support's a bit easier to use. It's just a bit of an easier to use grinder. But value for money versus a little bit higher in the price point. So I'd like to know in the comments below, do you have the 30 or do you have the bigger 270 or 270 WI? Let me know. And like always, if this video has brought you value, hit that thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Thank you and see you in the next video.